Your ability to respond to any problem, whether it be the economy, a problem at work, whatever it is, your ability to respond to challenges, difficulties, problems is the separator between you and your competition, between you and everybody else. So if everybody else is, woe is me, oh, it's so tough, the economy's down, and they're accepting that, but my response is quickly and immediately, okay, we're gonna make where's the opportunity in this?
Yes.
How can we make more money? How can we get more customers? How can we help more people now than ever before? So if your perspective is, woe is me, it's tough, the economy. I mean, I'll hear people that are 4 years later after COVID, and they're still going, yeah, I've never been able to recover since COVID, because they never got themselves in the right mindset of where's the opportunity here. And the fact is, not that it won't be difficult, not that it won't be tough, but if you can see where the opportunity is, if I can do that and everybody else is, woe is me, and we're just gonna wait until we see how everything lands, I'm gonna dominate you.
Welcome to the Takeover with Tim and Cindy, where we show you how to dominate every area of life and business. Let's get winning. Welcome back to the Takeover with Tim and Cindy. How do you market your business in any economy to not just survive and get by or even lose your business? How do you market and sell so that you can thrive even when the economy around you is not doing great? This is the goal of today's episode, to unlock some of the keys and the tips behind how do you thrive in any economy, and more specifically, what are the different marketing and sales approaches you should take, how to think about your business differently during these seasons when the economy is not doing so great or when there is a downturn. Tim, I'm really excited about this conversation because you and I discussed this quite a bit. But not only that, we have been through different cycles, different seasons, different economies with our business, Pima.io. And we've come out of them not only just surviving, but thriving as well.
Yeah, strong, coming out very, very strong for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about what was that initial 2020 was one of the downturns that happened not only in the economy, but in our lives as well.
Yeah.
Early 2020, January, the business crashed, not because of what was going on externally. It was an internal problem that caused the crash. However, fast forward a few months, January, February, March, the world goes into a downturn. The economy is shot. And we are forced to figure out not only how to survive during this season, but how to thrive as well. So Tim, we experienced going through an economic downturn in 2020. Up front, in January, the business crashed because of internal issues. What happened a few months down the line? How did we kind of structure and get ourselves out of the hole that we were in, given that we were also in an economic downturn with the world just going into havoc during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know the story, go to episode 1. It was crazy. Business crashes. Late 2019, we end up being on our honeymoon. Business completely crashes, and then after that, we're like building our life together. And it's like, oh, by the way, the business crashed, and then just a few months later, like the whole world goes into this craziness. And so we weren't just building the company from the ground up; we were building it from the grave up in a big time of uncertainty. In a big time of like what's going on. The biggest thing that needs to happen, number one, in any time of uncertainty, any time of downturn, is to know that people really long for certainty. And so one thing we were certain about is that we have a good product. We know how to help people get clients. And in a downturn, that's a really good skill to have. And so we were able to, it was very difficult, but we at least knew we were able to get clients. We knew we could go out, we could get clients, and we could help our clients get clients. And the biggest point in these times is to be, as a leader in your marketplace, in your company, as the founder, the owner, the leader, whatever, you have to have absolute certainty and confidence when you're talking and selling. So it was a very difficult time for us, and it was a very scary time. But we really did a good job at creating certainty in our vision and our mission, where we were going, and then ultimately, I would say what we were able to build from that, the foundation, actually made us super strong. And if you look at any businesses that were born in down economies, they end up being very, very strong businesses. Businesses that are born in great economies, oftentimes when recessions happen, downturns happen, a lot of times they crash. They end up doing silly things like cutting their marketing spend, cutting their sales spend. They reallocate things differently because they didn't realize that the way things were built in the upper economy was pretty easy to get working. But when you can build things in a down economy and you can get your company running well in a down economy, that means that you have a company that's pretty much bulletproof.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we were able to do, because we had not only the economic crash happening in the world, we had our personal business crash, and we decided not to give up. We decided to bring certainty to each other. We're going to make this work.
Yeah.
Certainty to ourselves. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to follow through as the leader. And we brought certainty to our team. Hey, gals, we're going to get through this. We're going to make this happen. And we brought certainty to our clients. Like, here is how to get clients in this economy.
Yeah.
And I think for us, not that it wasn't hard, but we ended up coming out of that better, stronger, faster. And we actually kind of get excited when the economies go down, because we know the way that we operate, we're actually going to oftentimes do better in a down economy because we know how to market in that down economy.
So good. So many keys that you shared in that. And part of this episode, we want to lay out for people exactly how to think about their business during down economies, as well as how to market and sell. So I'm going to put a pin on that because we're going to discuss that. It's important for people to know, in addition, the psychology behind how and why people buy during economic downturns, when the economy is rocky and shaky. Their motivations change, how and why people change, shifts during different economies. And that's why it's important as business owners to shift and adapt how you are doing things when the market is shifting, right? We cannot use the same approaches and the same tactics when the economy is thriving and things are going well to sell to people when the economy is going down.
Yeah, 100% agree, right? So there's the example of you're either selling a cruise liner, hey, take a cruise with us, or which is like good economy, things are great. Hey, we're selling this cruise line, make things even greater. Or if there's a down economy where people are scared, there's just fear, there's lack, there's uncertainty, you're selling the lifeboat. You're selling that here's how the life raft, the lifeboat. Here's how to save yourself in this crazy storm. Hey, the boat's sinking, the cruise boat's sinking. Here's how to save yourself. And yeah, by the way, at the end of this life raft, there's going to be a nice island. So you sell a little bit of that dream, but mostly you're selling that lifeboat. And so, a lot of times people don't realize that the way you marketed in an up economy is not the way you're going to market in a down economy. The way you're going to market to wealthy individuals in an up economy, and you market to wealthy individuals in an up economy, and the way that you market to just maybe like lower income folks in up and versus down economy is also a little bit different. So overarching, if you can think cruise ship and life raft, lifeboat, your message, your sales, everything has to be much different depending on the kind of economy that you're in.
Yeah.
And even in good economies, I always do suggest to, when you're doing the sales, it is always still about solving the problem. It's not just about selling the dream and the vision, but a lot of times the focus can be more on, hey, fix this problem so that you can get this great dream and vision, versus fix this problem so that you can have certainty during these uncertain times.
Yeah.
You see the difference in language? You're still solving a problem in both the cruise ship and in the life raft situation. Hey, solve your lead gen so that you can have this awesome outcome. Cruise ship, solve this lead generation so that you can have certainty in uncertain times. Lifeboat, life raft. Does it make a sense kind of on how that different imagery and language works there?
Yeah, I love that. It's the difference between selling the cruise ship, You're selling the big picture vision, the vacation, the desire, and the hopes, versus in a down economy, you're kind of shifting that language and the messaging to focus more so on certainty. How do you get out of this problem, right? How do you get out of like a very tough situation? And it's so important because the difference between the two, you're going to be selling that both in your marketing, right? How you're promoting your product and service, how you are messaging, right? Whether it's direct messages or how you're promoting on Facebook and Instagram, but also on the sales side, right? So this is in your sales script. When you're meeting with prospects, what is that conversation that you're having with them? That focus is going to shift a little bit based on the kind of economy that you're going into. I love that example. The visual is really, really powerful. Let's talk about practically. First thing I want to cover is how should people, mindset-wise, how should their perspective change around marketing and selling in an up economy versus a down economy? Because I believe it all starts with mindset, right? And the perspective, the approach that we take. So how should we be thinking about marketing and selling during those times?
There's a couple of things you got to think about here. I'm not even going to put a priority order in it, so I'm just going to say a few things, not in any order of priority. They're all pretty important. Number one is certainty, like I said before. If you are living in fear, if you're uncertain, you got to get yourself taken care of. You don't have to have certainty. In fact, if you look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs and leaders, they're able to make a really quick decision and confident decision based on about 60, maybe 70% of the information. I think what happens is in uncertain times, we have way less information. So it's hard to get to a 70, 80, 90% of the information. And great leaders are able to have confidence with about 60 to 70% of the information. And so you've got to get yourself, okay, what's going on? We still have to solve this problem. Most people are going to freak out and not buy anything for about 2 months. After 2 months, they're going to realize well, shoot, we still got this problem. We're going to start buying stuff again. So there will be a downturn in sales temporarily, but it doesn't have to be more than a couple months, because after that couple months, as you are marketing to fix a problem with certainty, remember, you have to have certainty, bring certainty to yourself, to your family, and just know okay, this will be down for about 2 months. And in that 2 months time, I have a good opportunity to create, what is that life raft? Start testing that life raft message, that lifeboat message. What does that look like? What are people looking for certainty for? And then start building certainty in what people have uncertainty with right now. If you're in something where you're targeting people that are maybe career professionals, it could be something around creating certainty in your career. If it's lead generation, creating certainty around client acquisition. Even if it's like health and fitness, you start creating certainty around versus having that perfect six pack. Now it's about okay, what does it look like to be fully your health, your mindset, being in a good place, mental health, high performance, more energy at work. So it's like the shift in the message, you have a little bit of time to shift over that month or two while sales will be down. But on that other side, if you make the switch properly, you're going to do well. So number one is you have to have certainty, and you have to know that cycle is going to happen, and it happens every single recession or downturn.
And what I love that you mentioned about certainty is first having that internal certainty, right? With yourself, with your spouse, your partners, your family, and your team, right? As the leader, it's important that you're instilling certainty within your team. Hey, and communicate, this is going to be a down few months. However, this is the vision moving forward. And I think as a leader, it's so critical that you have certainty during difficult times, because that's what's going to keep your team motivated to keep going versus operating from a place of fear, lack, uncertainty, etc. So as a leader, you have to have that certainty. I love that you mentioned that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And your ability to respond to any problem, whether it be the economy, a problem at work, whatever it is, your ability to respond to challenges, difficulties, problems is the separator between you and your competition, between you and everybody else. So if everybody else is, woe is me, oh, it's so tough, the economy's down, and they're accepting that, but my response is quickly and immediately, okay, we're gonna make where's the opportunity in this?
Yes.
How can we make more money? How can we get more customers? How can we help more people now than ever before? So if your perspective is, woe is me, it's tough, the economy. I mean, I'll hear people that have 4 years later after COVID, and they're still going, yeah, I've never been able to recover since COVID, because they never got themselves in the right mindset of where's the opportunity here. And the fact is, not that it won't be difficult, not that it won't be tough, but if you can see where the opportunity is, if I can do that and everybody else is, oh, woe is me, and they're we're just going to wait until we see how everything lands, I'm going to dominate you. Like, our company is going to dominate your team. And we tell that to the team when tough times happen. It's like, we go, hey, have you seen Pima have challenges before and come out better, faster, stronger? Yes. Anybody that's been there for a while, and if it's new people, they see everybody else raising their hand. Boom. Now we're instilling confidence in the team, right? And now we're creating, well, the rest of the world is living in uncertainty. They have cortisol running. They're stressed. They're retracting. We're moving forward. We're advancing, which makes us, it's the separator, and you look at any great companies, when the economy goes down, they actually invest more in their sales and marketing. They're on the offense.
Yes.
And the companies that could have been doing great, down economy happens, and they go on the defense. They cut their budgets on marketing and sales. Oh, we're just going to wait out the storm. And a lot of them end up going down, crashing, or becoming smaller. And so I think the big thing on that is you have to understand that your response, and not just in economies, any problem, challenge, or difficulty, your response is the determining factor between you and all your competition, because they're going to run into the same problems, challenges, difficulty, all of that. So the only difference, it's your response to the situation.
I love what you said there. So I would say the second mindset shift that has to happen during difficult times is seeing problems as opportunities.
Yes.
And if you can adopt that mindset that this is actually a good thing for our company, we are going to come out on the other side better, stronger, faster, etc. You actually position yourself to spot the opportunities that are happening during the difficult times. So number one, it's certainty. Make sure that you have certainty in your product, in your team, in what you have to offer to the market. And then secondly, make sure that you adopt that mindset of problems are opportunities.
Yes.
Because as Tim mentioned, on the other side of a downturn, of a really rough economy, people will thrive. You'll see companies completely dominate and take up so much market share because they saw that downturn as an opportunity versus as a problem. Now let's talk about, how do you apply this on a marketing strategy level? What are specific things we need to be shifting and adjusting in our marketing during economic downturns? Number
one, is your product, service, offering a nice to have or a need to have? Is it it'd be nice to do a cruise, but guess what? Right now, I'm just not sure about my business surviving the next 3 months, right? So is this a need to have for the current environment? Remember, good economies, we're still fixing a problem. Hey, we're going to solve problems so that great outcome. The great outcome is the cruise ship. In this environment, in a down economy, it's, hey, we're solving problem so that you can have certainty in this uncertain times. So you have to ask yourself, is the way you're presenting your offer a nice to have or a need to have, right? Because a lot of times people, they get so obsessed with their product and the cool parts and the features, and they don't get why other people can't see it. And the reason why people don't get it and don't understand it is because you have not done the work required to make it simple and clear to understand why it's a need to have. So if you find any resistance to people not seeing your service and products as a need to have, then you have not communicated that clearly. And if you do not, as the owner, as the entrepreneur, as the marketing, whoever is doing the marketing and sales, if you don't see this as a need to have in the down economy, you got to fix your own perspective on this and start asking, why is this a need to have? If I run a gym or if I run personal training classes, this is a need to have, because we know in down economies, mental health, energy, all these things are really, really impacted in health, wellness. All this makes a big difference for energy, for mental health, and all this stuff. So you have to start seeing, why is your product a need to have in the down economy? That now it becomes like, hey, our product solves this problem so that you can have this need to have to create certainty in uncertain times. And you're going to hear me keep saying very similar sequences over and over again. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want everybody listening to be able to customize this for your offer. This is not just in our space, this is across the board.
Yes.
Like absolutely across the board for any industry. Psychology, this is human psychology.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
If people don't have certainty on their lives and their personal and their finances, then nothing else is going to matter. Right? So this has to be a need to have that will create certainty in these times.
Yes. So the question to ask yourself, ladies and gents, is my product or service a need to have? An even better question is, how can it be a need to have during this time? How can I position my solution as something that people absolutely have to take advantage of during the down economy versus waiting for when, quote unquote, times are better? You explained this really nicely, Tim, in like the aspirin versus the vitamin example.
Let's say you're doing a 4-hour road trip. One example, you got in the car, you've got a killer migraine, and you're like, and you start driving, and you're about 5 minutes away from your home, and you're like, oh, I should have taken an aspirin. I should have taken a painkiller. Do you think you're gonna just drive back to your home real quick and get that so you don't have a headache on this 4-hour drive?
Absolutely.
Very, very, very high likelihood. But let's say you forgot to take your multivitamin, and by the way, you miss it 2 or 3 days a week anyways, just because you forget. Like, you see what I'm saying? And you're 5 minutes away from your home, and like, dang it, I didn't take my multivitamin this morning. Are you going to turn around and get that?
No.
No, I mean, everybody mostly misses their multivitamins anyways, if anybody even ever takes them. So the difference too is, are you creating, and remember, every product can be positioned as a painkiller, as solving an immediate problem, if you can, number one, get yourself in the mindset of how can my product be a painkiller, right? Versus an aspirin versus a vitamin, right? So you have to believe it at your core being. Then you have to learn how to communicate and sell it, position it as something that's going to alleviate a pain as well. And so that's the big thing, is your product has to be positioned as a painkiller, not a vitamin, during these times, because people are in pain, like immediate pain. And we need this to be something that can like have a promise of and delivery on. Of course, you don't want to just make the promise,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Like your product's got to deliver too, but it's got to deliver on solving an immediate problem, not just something that's going to happen someday, one day.
Yes, so good. So ask yourselves, what is the problem that my solution or my product or my service is solving for my prospect? And make sure that you are mentioning that, positioning that, putting that in your messaging. People are not looking for necessarily the quote unquote vitamins right now, right? They're looking for solutions to their problems, problems that they're going to keep having when the economy is down or when the economy is up. So it's finding, how do you position that in your messaging? The simple question, I think, where we start off with copywriting when we're writing outbound messaging, it's as simple as, what are the pain points and frustrations and challenges that our ideal prospect is facing? And if we can put those in a message or in a Facebook ad or in whatever way we're marketing, we know that's going to spark interest and attention because it's focusing on those pains and those frustrations.
The easiest way to do this is the exercise of, before I tell you the exercise, let me ask you, like those are listening, have you ever been up at night because you can't sleep because something's stressing you out? And you're just eyes staring at the ceiling, your mind's racing, just stressed.
Yes.
Right? So what is that thing that's keeping your prospect up at night, eyes staring at the ceiling, like just mind racing, just adrenaline flowing through their system and cannot sleep? What is that thing that's happening? What is that thing that they're thinking about that you could position or show your solution can help solve?
So good.
Right? How does it help solve that thing? And the closer you can get to that conversation or that thought or that emotion or that thing happening in your prospect's head, the real thing, not the thing you're imagining, but the real thing, the closer you're going to get to being an aspirin versus a vitamin. Because a vitamin solves a problem one day far off, maybe, right? But the painkiller solves an immediate problem right now that they're dealing with.
So
and the
good.
Closer we can get to the real conversation, the real stress, the real thing keeping them up at night, the more our product is going to be like catch their attention.
So good.
And I was thinking, like, so you have built the whole copywriting team of our company. We're both good at copy. We're both good at marketing and influence, but you've built out the entire copywriting branch of Pima.io. And we have just some of the best copywriting in the business for outbound. Outbound is the hardest copy to get to convert because you're interrupting people, you're annoying people, and you're getting people to respond. So for you, like, I'm just curious, what do you see is that, like, how do you make sure that your team, your copywriters are getting to the real problem that's getting the real response?
Yeah, for sure. It's that same question of what is keeping the prospect up at night. So when we get a new client on, we're asking that question from the perspective of the client and their prospect, right? So we're asking, what is keeping this prospect up at night? What are their challenges? What are their frustrations? What are their pain points? What are solutions that they've tried in the past that failed them and that didn't work? So we're doing a lot of this research on the back end to make sure that when we are positioning it in a message, it's hitting the direct pain points of that client and not, as you mentioned, what we think it is, but what it really is. Because very often people will go down like the path of, well, I think my ideal prospects want this and that, or I think their challenges are XYZ. The best way to know is either by speaking to your prospect directly and coming to terms with what their real pain points, challenges, and frustrations are, or you can also do research online to kind of find this information out. But the more that you can speak to your prospects, the more you're able to identify exactly what those pain points, challenges, and frustrations are. And then again, it's an ongoing exercise, right? It's not just something you do on one day and it's one and done. It's those conversations that you have with your prospects continuously, right? Or continually, that will allow you to keep updating that for you and your team. Just keep like a running document of it. Like, what are the frustrations and challenges that we hear our prospects speak about every single day?
I love that. And I think one thing that you mentioned, super important, is what are the things that they tried that didn't work? Understanding that on a marketing side is really important, because if you can show your product solves their problem differently than when all the other stuff that they tried, that for sure gives you a high level of certainty. And that's what we're looking for in down economies, is marketing that creates hope and certainty that they can get their problem solved and not have to stress like everybody else.
Yes. And so to kind of summarize this section, when we're thinking about how do you market your business differently when the economy is rocky or shaky, position your product or service again as a need to have, the aspirin, versus a nice to have, which might be that multivitamin. So you can customize that based on your product, your service, your industry, and your niche. Let's shift a little bit onto the sales side, right? Because it's one thing to market your business in a certain way. Also, the way that we sell during down economies or when things are shaky has to shift as well. What are some ways that we need to be thinking about sales during this time?
Number one is, once you have your sales team in the right mindset, they have certainty and confidence. You also have to be able to communicate, and not to get too into sales, but you do this through questions, not statements. You can go to some of my sales trainings to get information on how to do this. But there has to be a cost, to not taking action. What I mean by that is, if you don't fix your problem, what is the outcome going to be 6 months from now? Oh, well, I'm still going to be jobless, or I'm still not going to be getting clients, or I'm not going to have the energy, or I'm going to be more depressed. Ooh, are you okay with that? No, I have to get that fixed. I have to get that fixed. So you see me using some questions to ask them what their cost would be for not fixing this. Them telling me, well, that would mean failure. That would mean I'd have to go get a job. Oh, can you get a job in this economy? No, I can't. Gotcha. So, we're now getting them to think about what happens if they don't buy our product.
So you're saying that we have to get our prospects to tell us the cost of not taking action, meaning how will their lives be the same or be different if they don't take advantage of our product and service right now?
Yes.
And there is a cost of taking action and there's a cost of not taking action.
Yes.
Okay.
Every decision or indecision, saying no or saying yes, they're both decisions with consequences. Most people do not realize when they say, I'll think about it, give me a week, give me 24 hours. They don't realize that they are making a decision. They're not thinking about it. They've made a decision to delay a solution, and saying no or saying yes, both have consequences. So both are decisions. And unless you have that communication with, well, what happens if you say no to this and you don't get it fixed? What is your life going to look like? And a lot of times for your prospect, it's going to be very scary, and it's going to be something that they're going to say, I don't even want to imagine that. I have to get this fixed. Are you sure you have to get this fixed? Yes. Why though? Because if I don't, my whole life will explode. Okay, so this is important for you to get this fixed now, it sounds like. Yes. You see, so good, that no, we want, before we go and offer our service, earlier in the call, we're going to ask that so we can know. And this isn't like some trickery thing. This is us like literally having a real conversation, helping people think through the consequences, because most people they'll retract, they'll go on defense. And we know in down economies, whoever you are, retracting and going on defense always turns out very bad for those folks.
Yes.
People that go on offense end up growing faster, stronger, end up coming out of recessions very well.
Yes.
And so it is our moral obligation to help people think through these consequences of saying no. So this is very, very important in a down economy to do that, because their fear and risk of buying your product is going to be very high. And so we have to associate the outcome of the no or the delaying to work with us. We gotta associate that with a negative outcome, with the real negative outcome, so that now when they get to a should I do this, should I not do this, they have a clear understanding of their head of the road that will lead them down to a bad path if they say no today, versus so that fear of what could negatively happen down the no path has to be greater than the fear and the worry of saying yes to you and to your product right now today.
To summarize this, ladies and gents, as the business owner, you have to get your prospect to tell you what are the consequences of not taking action today. Because people's default in this time is going to be to delay, to put things off. I don't have the money. I don't want to do it right now. The economy is rocky. There's always going to be a reason for people to not take action during this time. So it is your job as the business owner to get your prospect to tell you why it's important to take action today on that.
And it's an ethical thing. You want to do a quick role play? So, okay, imagine it's kind of earlier in the call. I haven't offered you my product yet. And, you had just told me your goal of, hey, I want to get to this amount of fitness, get my energy levels up so I can show up at work better. And you've told me all your goals. Like, man, the reason why I want to get in shape is because I want better energy. I want to be a better mom. I want to be a better wife. You just told me, like, I just spent time understanding why you want to lose weight and have energy and do, like, I understand all of that. So I'm like, that's kind of the context. Make sense?
Okay.
Oh, God. So it sounds to me, Cindy, like your goal is to not just get in shape so you can look good, but you want to make sure you have better energy for your kids. You want to make sure you're able to show up at work, which is super important right now with just everything that's happening in the economy. You want to be sharp and on point so you're able to lead your team better, and then ultimately just even have some energy left for you and your hubby, like after a long day. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. So let's pull out a role play for a second. I just got your whole big goal and reasons why, and then I just asked what happens if you don't fix it. Anybody listening can hear there's some serious consequences and these are real. And I'm going to ask these questions because I care about somebody. The people that ask you these hard questions are people like your mom, your dad, your friend. Those are close to you. The people that are unwilling to ask you these questions are not the people that are in your close circle. So me asking these hard questions just by association also builds trust, because this is true. This is an ethical thing that I feel when I'm on a call. Is I want to understand both the goal and the cost of not fixing it, so that I can hold somebody to their highest self. So fast forward, I just offer you my health package that's going to get all those things on track for you and give you the support to be the best mom, the best wife, the best energy, all that stuff. And you said, hey, I need to delay this.
Yeah, I need to think about it. I need about like 3 more months to take action on this.
Hey, no worries. I totally appreciate you saying that. I mean, just to be clear, do you feel like this plan would help fix your health issues and get you on track?
Yeah, I think it would.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate you sharing that. We can definitely wait. We don't even have to do this program if you don't want. Can I be honest with you though?
Sure.
Well, so earlier in the call, you told me that you wanted to get your health on track just for your energy, for your kids, for your job, so you can show up the best there. Because you said there's a lot of shaky things happening at work right now, and then you want to make sure you have good energy when you're coming home from your husband. You also told me that you've been delaying this for almost a year now, and that you have to get it fixed right now, and that if you didn't, ultimately your sleep's going to keep getting worse. Your performance at work is going to get worse. You said you kind of lashed out on your kids the other day in a way you never wanted to do, and that's going to get worse. And you also told me like that when I laid our program around the table, you said that it was a perfect, exactly what you needed to get your weight loss and your energy levels back on track. So help me understand, Cindy, what's really going on here?
Yeah, I don't have a response.
Yeah. So you see, I'm not doing a hardcore sales thing. I just make sure early in the call, I understand what her goal is, what the full scope of the goal is, why this goal is important to her, what happens if she doesn't fix her problem and get to the goal. And then when she tells me I want to think about it, I'm just going to remind her of what she told me. Like, hey, no worries. Totally appreciate that. Just to make sure you think that this will help you. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, then, I guess, we have to ask, you told me earlier, blank, 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 didn't you? Yeah. Well, now it sounds like you're not nowhere near as certain. What's really going on? And so now I'm not doing some hardcore car salesman thing. I'm literally just holding you accountable to who you said you wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And all I'm doing, I want you to see great sales, especially in a down economy, is all about holding that person accountable to who they truly want to be, having the hard conversations that close friends are willing to have with you, and just really just fighting for their success. I'm fighting for your success here. Now, on your end, hearing that in this situation, did that feel like I was being aggressive or pressuring you or anything like that?
No, it felt actually very authentic, because I think that we had mentioned what the goals were and the reasons why I wanted to do it. It was closer to home, right, as to why the solution would be a good fit. And so, yeah, it felt very, very authentic. And I think some of the keys that we mentioned here, as people start to implement it during down economies, even now, right, wherever your business is at, the more that you can start to think about the consequences or the cost of the person not taking action, that's really going to transform your sales when people are nervous and they're scared and they don't know what to do with their money during that time. Holding people accountable to their goals and the ultimate desires that they want is going to allow your business to continue to survive as well as thrive during down economies. So again, bringing it back, ladies and gentlemen, to the question of how do you market and sell differently to ensure that you are surviving and thriving during economic times. Tim, in 2020, when there was that downturn and the world was going into chaos, one of the things that we did specifically to ensure that we got ourselves out of the hole that we were in, we were kind of built a foundation for ourselves, and then we actually thrived. We continued to grow during 2020. One of the things that we did is we invested more in marketing and in sales during that time, whereas the default for most people is to retreat and to save and to not spend any money. Why do you feel like that perspective is essential during difficult times?
It's kind of funny because we were playing this board game the other day, you and me, and it was a new board game. It's not a popular board game at all, but I kind of realized after playing it a few times, the best way to win is just to completely go on offense, to just constantly be attacking, to be moving forward, to be advancing. And then if you play on defense,
which I was doing,
which Cindy was doing, and she lost. If you go on defense, it's like you might conserve some things, but offense always has the upper hand. It's like going to the casino. The casino always has the upper hand. So I want you to see that in down economies, your marketing and sales is like you have an unfair advantage in the marketplace if you actually reallocate as much budget as you can to your marketing and sales and then tighten the hatch in other areas, right? Those things in your business that are nice to have, not need to haves, cut them out. And then even question the things that you feel like in your business, are they really need to haves? Like if they're not contributing in your business, if you're spending any money, time, or energy on something that is not contributing to immediate business or to retaining current business, if you cannot tie a direct, here's the dollar amount that this thing, this strategy, this idea, this tool, this software brings in, here's how it's going to bring more revenue. You cut that and then you reallocate. You go on offense with your marketing, with your sales, because when all of your competitors are dialing back the marketing and sales, which happens
every time. Yeah.
Every time they companies go on the defense, and I'll say this over and over again, every recession, every downturn, anytime you see companies that go on the defense, they go under, they lose market share, I'm talking big dominant companies become small little companies. Whereas those who go on the offense, a lot of times even companies that were born in recessions or depressions end up becoming stronger because they're on the offense. And so I want you to see this like that game. This is like just mathematically, if you are a casino, you're always gonna win. And this is that gives you that unfair advantage of the casino. That's if you go on marketing and sales attack, trim up in the other areas, you will win, period, because while everybody else is pulling back, you're going and getting more market share. And if you can have that certainty and that life raft message, the lifeboat message, you can dominate in this whole sector while your competition's chilling and relaxing and waiting till things settle down.
Yes. And
guess what's going to happen is they're going to see you doing well, and eventually they're going to start copying you. But by that time, you're going to be so far ahead of them that they're not even going to be able to catch up. And then when the economy picks back up, you're just going to slingshot out of that thing versus people kind of just trying to get going when everybody else is trying to get going again.
Yes. So recessions, economic downturns are opportunity season. As a business owner, see it as a good thing. See this as a time for you to gain market share, to increase on marketing and sales where everybody else is decreasing. Take advantage of the market share, because think about it from an ethical or moral standpoint, your prospects still have a pain. And if you are going into retreat or retract mode, you are leaving your prospects without a solution to that pain. So if that's a perspective that you need to take in order for you to push forward during difficult times, take that perspective, right? But what we really want to emphasize to you here on this episode is do not retract when things get difficult or when there's a recession or when the economy is shaky. See that as an opportunity for you to push forward. People need your product and service. They need what you have to offer, right? And then again, your business is going to be better off on the other side if you do take advantage of that versus sitting back and waiting for things to get better. That is the defense mode, and I took that in the game and I lost the game. So I hope that learn from my lesson.
Mic drop, a mic drop. Jeez. I'm like, don't retreat, defeat, right? Don't retract, attack. Like you got to constantly be on that move forward. And what we're saying here is it's scary. It's scary. Like when we're doubling down on our marketing and sales and we were going to attack and we were creating certainty.
It was scary.
Was it like, yeah, we got this? Or was it like, it was a little bit scary?
That's right. Yeah.
And then you get in that uncomfortable thing and then it works and you're like, oh shoot. And it keeps working. And then you get your confidence, but like, it's okay to be afraid. Right?
Do it anyway.
Yeah. That's a sign that you're moving into a place of growth, right?
Love that.
It's like you can have that fear, but courage is not the like absence of fear. Courage is how you react in a place of fear. How do you respond to fear? How do you respond to uncertainty?
Yes. Yeah. I love this episode. Let's summarize some of the key takeaways. So first is like that mindset that you take around your business during a recession or a down economy, right? It's understanding that the psychology of how and why, when people buy, changes as the economy changes. So your marketing and your sales has to shift as well in order to not only survive, but to thrive on the other side as well, right? Tim gave some awesome keys around marketing, how you should approach your marketing during the time. We spoke about selling the life raft versus the cruise ship, right? And what that looks like to position your marketing message where you are focusing on they need this or absolutely have to have this versus a nice to have where there's no urgency and this person, whether they purchase it or not, they're still okay. How do we position our product and our service as the thing that they absolutely need in order to solve their problem? You also spoke about the sales aspect of it, right? The cost of inaction. What is the cost or the consequence of not taking action with you, your product, your service, right? And how your prospects are going to be worse off if they don't take advantage of it right now.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, gosh, you should have just ran the whole show. Like, I love your energy. It's so cool. Like, I'm getting fired up.
I just summarized all the good things you said.
I'm honestly getting fired up. You know what's crazy is we have lived what we are preaching right now with problems are opportunities. I mean, in our company culture is problems are opportunities. So much so that we are starting to get excited when challenges come. We start to get excited when, like, you know, when downturns and economic uncertainties and stuff like that happen, because we know that we are going to respond in a way that no one else is going to respond, which gives us an unfair advantage. So I think we get so excited about these times is because we know how the world's going to respond and we know how we're going to respond, and we're always going to respond better and create the opportunity out of the problem. And so what would that look like for you? Like, let's make sure you have one way walk away. Whoever's listening to this right now, what's the one or two walkaways that you're going to take from this? Because I want you to think, how would that feel to know anytime my company experienced a problem, a challenge, the economy goes down, any troubles, that over time you got so good at always creating the opportunities out of it that you almost got, even if it was scary, you always got a little bit excited when difficulties came, because you knew the way that you're going to respond to this is going to set you up for success. So what are the one or two things you can take away from today's episode? That's the only reason why we're here, is because we want to help you become better. We want to help you become stronger. So what are the one or two things you're going to walk away from today and say, I'm going to implement this to make your life better and create more certainty? And if you got to come back and watch this a few times, definitely do. There's a lot of golden nuggets we gave out here.
Absolutely. Yes. And we'll leave you with this. Just know that we understand that it's scary when the economy shifts and it changes and there's a lot of fear and uncertainty around. It's very scary. As a business owner, you have a lot of responsibility, but know that as you implement these keys and these tools and these tips, you can not only survive difficult times and down economies and recessions, you can thrive. It is possible. There are other companies that are doing it, and your business can too. We hope that you found this episode valuable on how to market and sell your business in any economy to not just survive, but to thrive. If you are listening to this on YouTube, make sure that you click that subscribe button and leave us a comment down below on what your biggest takeaway was. Again, this is Tim and Cindy with a Takeover. Stay winning.